This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.
That's number one. You kind of reset.
Painful, tender to the touch. May also
Same shoulder length, and the other.
Right.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Real Health Podcast with Brandy and Amir. I am Dr. Amir Rashidian, a chiropractor, and Brandy Rashidian is my other half. You'll notice this format's a little different because we also have Dr. Michael Lacey, who you all know hopefully by now. He's been on several podcasts with us. He works with us. But we have an amazingly special, awesome guest that we've been really look forward to meeting. It's Dr. John Bergman. And I just want to tell you, before I formally introduce him, I want to tell everybody the Real Health Podcast is brought to you by the Frederick Podcast Network. It's found on listenfrederick.com, plus YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and everywhere else you can find your podcasts. Our purpose for doing this is so we can bring you the latest information. Whatever you find on mainstream media, which sometimes is bias and has wrong motives behind it, but we want to tell you what it really means and give it to you in a wellness perspective for the purpose of helping you feel better, get stronger, live longer, and feel younger. And so today, like I said, we've been so excited to be with Dr. Bergman, and I want to tell you, Dr. Bergman is a pioneer. He's a true pioneer in natural health and healing. He is a renowned chiropractor, educator, and outspoken advocate for drug-free, root-cause wellness with millions of followers around the world. He's helped countless numbers of people around the world, and he's he does this through powerful, practical solutions grounded in science and common sense, which is, I think, so lacking in the rest of the healthcare world. So, Dr. Bergman, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
God, that's a great intro. I want to hear me.
100%.
Thanks.
I was supposed to do a talk. This is 15 or 16 years ago. I was going to do a talk, and I wanted to call it Cholesterol and the Mystery of Heart Disease. And I wanted to talk about how people don't understand what cholesterol really is, and how they're calling it bad cholesterol and good cholesterol. How can you call something that the body produces bad? So I started researching, and I came across your talk on the very same thing. And that was my first introduction to you. And you've been doing this for, I don't know, decades. As young as you are, you started when you were 17. But that was the first video I watched of you, and I've been hooked ever since, and I follow your content. Big fan of yours. Dr. Michael, I know he'll tell you the same thing.
Oh, thanks, brother. Yeah, there is an ignorance out there, and I would love to learn a new term for common sense because it ain't common.
Oh,
Definitely uncommon is what we call it around here. So that is for sure. So hopefully through what all of us do, though, we'll be helping to give some of that common sense back to people. I think part of the challenge is we're so inundated with information, and unfortunately, a lot of the information is not really housed in truth. And so I think it's kind of taken away the ability for us to think logically about things. We're so inundated with so much information. So hopefully giving people some new tenets, a new foundation from which they think from, hopefully will help develop a little bit more of that common sense.
Amen. That's the only way to change belief system is with information. And
Right.
there is religions out there that they call medicine, and that ain't based in science.
Oh, for sure. For
Totally
sure.
agree.
They call it evidence-based, but they choose what evidence they call evidence. I mean, what are you really looking for as evidence? It's very tough. But I think our audience also needs to know that you have treated many famous people, including the head of the Health and Human Services, and many others, which obviously will protect their privacy. And the only reason I mentioned him is because you mentioned it on one of your videos on YouTube. And
He's
you have
he's really a great guy. I mean, really a great guy. When he's sitting in the adjusting area, we've got a whole bunch of hot seats, and people are looking over. Is that really him? Is that really him? And he is always open to taking a picture or talking. I mean, he's really a great guy.
I can tell. That's fantastic. I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast with Cassie and Callie Mead, and they talked about him, and they said when he talks about health concerns with the nation, he actually gets teary-eyed. I mean, these are heartfelt conversations. He genuinely cares about the children, the whole situation with autism and everything that's going on. So I'm just so grateful for him and grateful for you for taking care of him. You also have three clinics in three separate countries. One is on the other side of the planet. Tell us about that.
Well, I do a lot of online consults, and I did a number of consults with this really sweet gal from Bangkok, and she had a lot of health issues, and she even sent a couple of doctors over to learn our technique, and they couldn't learn it. She flies out in 2020. They shut down international travel right after that. She was stuck here for a year. So consequently, we got a chance to get her better. And so she was paddleboarding, yoga. She beat my wife in pickleball, and she went back and she said, "You got to come over." I mean, her family's hungry for it. And a lot of people internationally, they'll fly into one of our clinics and they'll stay for 4 to 6 weeks. And we do 3 adjustments a day, separated by 90 minutes. They do cross crawl exercises. So in 2 weeks, we're doing post x-rays, post scans, post everything. And so I thought, well, what if I go there for a month? So instead of patients coming here, and it was amazing because you do fall in love. You're drawn to this, and it's a mission. And so, we've stopped operations. You see people with Parkinson's and wheelchairs starting to walk, and so nothing like this exists over there.
Wow.
Yeah. So consequently, I'm there 3 months a year. And then I'm in a clinic in Tijuana, Mexico. I've been down there for about 5 years. I'm there 2 days a week. I'm at the clinic in Huntington Beach 2 days a week. So it's called A Very Understanding Wife.
Oh, I bet.
Sarah's amazing.
Those are
Wonderful.
nice to have, aren't they?
Oh, God,
Absolutely.
yes.
So Brandy and I have a little experience with international chiropractic because I'm actually licensed in Iran as a chiropractor. So
Oh,
whenever we go down there, there's always a line of people outside our home wanting to come in and get adjusted. And they bring fruit baskets, and they've tried to pay us with animals. Obviously, we can't take those, but so
how cool.
it is a lot of fun. In fact, I don't know if this is a fact, but the person who issued my license in Iran was the president of Tehran Medical School, and he did the boards weren't offered at the time when we were there, so he interviewed me orally for like an hour and asked. Everything was done in English. All the doctors in Iran speak English fluently. So at the end of it, he said, "If you promise to come back to Iran at some point and practice, I will give you a license without an expiration date."
Oh,
So I'm the only
yes.
licensee in Iran, a chiropractor in Iran whose license will never expire.
Oh, God bless you. I mean, countries that aren't under the pharmaceutical control that ours are, with the media, the politics, and everything else, they get it. They're open to normal, natural, common sense. And that's
Yeah,
all chiropractic is.
yeah,
I agree. And you know what
100%
else? I
agree.
tell every one of our associate doctors, everybody I interview, I always say, and Dr. Michael can attest to this, he's been with us a long time. First thing I say is the biggest malpractice issue facing chiropractors is undertreatment. We don't adjust our patients enough. And everyone's like, oh, you shouldn't adjust too much. I go, why not? You're putting impressions into their nervous system. You can't overdo it. You can only underdo it. So I love the fact that I hear you say 3 times a day, every 90
Mhm.
minutes. I've had patients who crawled in and I kept them in the office all day and adjusted them every 90 minutes until they walked out on their own power, and they wouldn't have done that. And one adjustment would not have done it.
Yeah. How do you treat your family member? You got a brother or sister or friend or cousin that has to get back to work. They got to get back on with their life. You're not gonna treat them, 3 times a week for the first 4 weeks, and then no, that's ridiculous.
What I find in chiropractic, especially the chiropractors that are really principled, are chiropractors who've had a personal experience that has either really impacted their journey or started their journey. So I would love to go back just a little bit and hear about your story, Dr. Bergman. Take us back to what got you started. I believe there was an accident that was there too that you experienced that really drew you in. So can you tell our listeners and give them just a little bit of background as to how you got started and how that injury impacted you?
Yeah, well, I was a contractor, and I was putting an X-ray lab in for a chiropractor, and here I was 30 years old, and so I got into college kind of early when I was 16, and so I had a whole bunch of college credits, and then I dropped out so I can start making money.
Mhm.
And so from 19 years old on, I was a contractor. So building buildings, remodeling, addition. So I'm putting an X-ray lab in for a chiropractor, throw my back out, strap on a back brace, take a handful of Tylenol, and the chiropractor's going, "What the heck are you doing?" And he educates me, he adjusts me, and I felt this warmth go down. And he taught me about how the structure of the body is, how the nervous system controls everything. And he said, you're strong and you got good communication. You should be a chiropractor. I said, "Doc, forget about it. It takes me 6 grand a month to live. I got 4 employees. I'm 30. I'm not going to change pathways." But I was praying to God for a change. I didn't feel that contentment with what I was doing.
Mhm.
So 2 weeks later, I'm hit by a car, break both my knees,
Mm.
fractured my sternum, bruised my heart and livers, fractured my skull. And, while I'm getting, thank God the medical system kept me alive.
Mhm.
And I'm in the wheelchair. The chiropractor's adjusting me. And, they're saying that I got to have my knees replaced eventually. And the chiropractor's saying, "Nah, did you ever cut yourself? Yeah. Did it ever heal? Yeah. Now your body will regenerate." And it blew my mind. So I went back to school and looked into the chiropractic college and started to find out that the body is wondrous.
Mhm.
And so then I started to study anatomy and physiology from a contractor's perspective. And it blew my mind that the body is able to regenerate. The chiropractor was right. And the medical doctors, God bless them, they were completely wrong. They're working with a different paradigm.
Right.
And being an older student, having more confidence had me question all of the instructors and all of the information.
I love that. I
That's very
wish
cool.
the general populace would question more.
Mhm.
That's the hard thing is you took that new paradigm and you were so inquisitive, with it, and you're like, wait a minute, let me get to the bottom of it. The challenge we have in our culture right now, and this isn't just with medicine, as I find it's with everything, is that we have this overlay, this perspective that's been taught to us, and we just leave it at that, and we take everything as gold. And I'm like, no, you got to question it. Trying to teach, that's one of the big things we're trying to teach our kids is question everything. Don't even take my word for it. Ask the questions that you need to ask to dig in and get to the bottom of something. So thank God you did, because look at how much change you've invoked in people's lives over the years just because you were willing to do that. So thank you.
Well, plus I saw evidence. I mean, I had no money when I went to school. I was living in a storage unit with 2 kids, okay, while I was going for the first couple of trimesters. And so consequently, I was a tutor in the anatomy lab, I worked for the library, AV, the maintenance department, everything. And in the anatomy lab, when you're opening up a cadaver and you have instructors saying, arthritis is from joints wearing out, and you can't just make the person feel comfortable. And I'm opening up cadavers, 80-year-old cadavers with no arthritis. I'm going to open up 30-year-old cadavers with tons of arthritis.
Right.
So then, since I had the library job, I started to do research, and it was amazing that arthritis is reversible. It doesn't need to occur. It's not degeneration, even though it's called degenerative disc disease. It's from trauma. In trauma, the body can heal. And so even though my instructors were brilliant, oh my gosh, they were super inspiring. They were repeating what they had been taught and not really looking into the body is self-healing, self-regenerating, self-regenerating, self-regulating, and the body adapts correctly. And seeing the real cadavers, the real live dead people. Oh my God, that was dramatic.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely. You know, I was listening to a interview of a famous physical therapist, which I don't want to name, uh, but he has well over 12 million subscribers on his channel. His videos are for the most part very, very good. He's in the fitness industry, teaching exercise and bodybuilding and things like that. And he was on this interview and he said you only get a certain number of rotations on your tires, so use your joints wisely. And his point was the more you move your joints, the more they wear out.
Hmm.
And I literally believe the exact opposite. The less you use your joints, the more they wear out. Sit in a chair all day, you will grow bone spurs faster than anybody else.
Yeah, like mom said, you only brush the teeth you want to keep. You only move the joints you want to keep. The
Yeah.
British Medical Journal, because remember our mom said, don't crack your knuckles; they're going to swell up. And they did a study on habitual knuckle cracklers and found a remarkable lack of arthritis. It turns out that if you want your joints healthy, you got to move them. Okay, but you've also got to look at blood supply, nerve supply, everything. But you move those joints, they regenerate. That's the key. They don't wear out.
Right. I 100% believe if I put a healthy knee or a healthy elbow in a cast and immobilize it for a year, there won't be a joint when you take the cast off. It'll grow together and fuse. It'll be one solid bone, no joint within a year.
Wool's law, bones laid down where it's needed, resorb where it's not. You don't use that, the body's going to cannibalize it.
Yeah, motion is lotion. That's what I always say.
Motion is lotion. I like that.
Absolutely. So what I would really love, and Sean's going to put all your contact information, everything down below. I want our audience to go watch your videos. And so what we want to do here is just kind of dig deep into just fun stuff like some of the things that are controversial, but obviously we don't want to get banned from YouTube. We know which ones do that, but also anything that would be counterintuitive, I guess, from what people believe. And then also I love some of the things you say, like when it comes to stem cell injections, you always say you've got to restore the nerve interference to that joint first, then use stem cells to help the joint regenerate. Otherwise, you're setting up for injury in the first place again. I don't think anyone says that. Another thing is I know a lot of influencers who are chiropractors who refuse to mention that they're chiropractors. And we've got and these are famous Dr. Eric Berg. I don't think I've ever heard him say he's a chiropractor. I love his content. It's fantastic. Dr. John DeMartini, I like his content as well. I've never heard him say he's a chiropractor. Dr. Josh Axe, fantastic when it comes to detoxifications and things. And I promote all of these guys. I love their material. But I feel like you're the only one at that level up there with these guys with the same amount of following who goes, okay, but you have to understand chiropractic because that's how the body works properly.
It is. I mean, I have my own stem cell clinic. And I say it doesn't work. I mean, if you look at shoulder, elbow, wrist, knee, hip, joint, feet, any of those things, if you have compromised blood supply or nerve supply, stem cells aren't going to work. You got to restore the blood supply, nerve supply, biomechanics, create inflammation, because that's how the body regenerates. And then you might not even need the stem cells because your body can regenerate. You do that, and it can kick it up over a notch. And that's the key. But chiropractic, when I was going to school, we were the largest drugless healthcare profession in the world. And the focus on restoring the nervous system, which allows the body to either be in stress or regeneration. That's the only two switches a human being has. And if you activate that regeneration, then the regeneration and disease, all of that stuff can be reversed. That's the key.
And that's why we do heart rate variability tests on our patients.
You got to have an objective analysis. We do pre and post live blood cell analysis, pre and post x-rays, pre and post nerve scans, because you got to know that, you find something on an x-ray, then take another one to show that you actually fixed what you found.
Right.
Yeah.
Post X-rays.
I
Exactly.
mean, duh.
I, those are the two things that baffle me. Number one, why is it a chiropractor will take an x-ray and they'll just look at it without taking any measurements or drawing any lines or looking for any specific listings, and they just look at it and go, oh yeah, you have some arthritis, let's start adjusting you. And they do just general non-specific adjustments, but then they never even take a post x-ray to see if they corrected anything they did. You always should get a post x-ray. Now, I know that when you play that insurance game, and insurance says don't take x-rays unless there's been an accident, don't take x-rays unless you suspect a fracture, and we won't approve an MRI unless you've done x-rays and 3 months of care first, and all this other stuff. Well, maybe that's why they don't do some of those things, but I don't know why. It just doesn't make any sense. We refuse to play those games. We don't take any insurance in our practices, and we are right now growing faster than anybody else because people are starting to realize that you need to be somewhere where you objectify what's going on, like you said, and then do a post check to make sure the corrections you wanted to make are actually there, not just how they're feeling. They could feel better. You can give someone a shot of morphine, they'll feel great for a minute.
My first month in practice, okay, I'm supposed to fill out this Medicare health form for a World War II vet who rolled a Jeep in World War II driving General Patton. Okay, so
Wow.
chronic injury. So I'm looking at this form and there's no chronic injury. And so I'm asking the doctors, they say, yeah, you have to put down that he hurt himself vacuuming or lifting groceries. Then you get 12 visits. Then another acute injury, you get another 12 visits. And then if you do that 3 times, you get 36 visits a year. And I thought, but he needs more than 36 visits, and I don't want to lie on a form. This is a chronic injury. And so I told the guy, I said, look, you're going to need 100 visits this year. You're going to start feeling better. Your blood pressure is going to normalize in about 10 to 12 visits. We're going to get you healthy. I can't deal with your insurance. So how about I just give you a cash price? We give you the care you need. And he was with me for 20 years. He lived to over 100. And one of his wishes in his will was that his ashes to be buried at sea off of my boat.
Wow.
And so, since then, I've never let a bureaucrat decide on the type of care of the patients that I'm doing the physical exam and have all the data.
Yeah.
The insurance is a scam.
I agree.
It's designed to keep people sick, and it's insane.
It's one of my favorite things to tell people that we don't accept insurance, and
right.
we tell them we want to work for you, not the insurance company. If I work for them, I have to appease them. If I'm working for you, then we get to make sure our relationship stays intact and we do the things that we need to do to get you.
And it's pretty funny because when we were looking for a pediatrician, we'd call around and ask if they take our insurance. If they said yes, we'd say, okay, you're not the right one for us. We're looking for a pediatrician who doesn't take insurance so they can do the right thing. And we found one. Yeah.
Very cool.
She even came to our house and did our first well baby visit after our boys were born. And she came, brought her scale, put him in a blanket, held him up in the scale. Like, it was totally felt like we were going back in time 100 years. So
yeah,
Very
she
cool.
said, don't bring a newborn to my office. I'll come to your house. It was wonderful for all 3 boys.
Very cool.
Tell me this, when did you feel like early into your career, when did you feel like you were going against the grain? When did you really realize that there might be a little bit of an uphill battle? You don't strike me as the type of person who would shy away from that. But at what point were you like, okay, I might be fighting a good part of my career?
I started to get on forums. Okay, and this is before like YouTube. YouTube came out, I think, in 2007. That's when I started to do videos. And I get on these forums for fibromyalgia or bowel disorders or this or that. And I'm saying, you guys are just looking at symptoms. Look at the autonomic nervous system. You're in a stress state. And boy, you want to get on a bowel disorder forum, you're going to get beat up. It's not my lifestyle choices. It's not stress. It runs in my family. It's all of these ignorant views of the body that these diseases actually exist instead of an adaptive physiologic response. And that was just, you got to change belief systems. So that's when all of the research I was doing. Then every time I do a video, I'd make a statement, put up the research. I'd do the insane medical therapy, okay, insane, which is given a poisonous chemical to alter your physiology, and their physiology is always adapting correctly. And it's that was just my gosh, I can't just meet somebody in the parking lot with you got your information, I got my data, bitching, we'll duke it out, I'll win. It was just literally you have to change belief systems. And that was just a major uphill battle. Luckily, a lot of people now since 2020, I was shadow banned, demonetized, everything else, because I'm talking about things we still can't talk about. but it is that the belief systems that people have, they own their disease because they've been sick, and they go to the medical profession who is just completely ignorant. They're working on a paradigm that is foolishness to give a poisonous chemical to alter your physiology, and they call that health. And even when I'm in the clinic in Bangkok, I say, look, you don't understand. I'm from the sickest industrialized nation of the world, 4% of the population of the world consuming 95% of the drugs. It's the sickest animal species on the planet are Americans, and because of the healthcare. That's uphill, baby.
100%. And I think this has finally been the very first time, as long as I've known, where political debates and discussions about healthcare wasn't about how can we get more people on more drugs faster and make those drugs cheaper so you can take more of it and more often. And now it's about prevention and let's stop them from getting sick so they don't even need the drugs. So don't worry about the drugs. It's a breath of fresh air.
And I think very much COVID, or still 2020 changed that a lot. Since 2020, I think changed the attitude of a lot of people. Kind of woke up, opened the eyes to for a lot of people as well. We kind of always knew it, right? But actually, us seeing it and witnessing and seeing, things kind of change slowly but surely. It's happening.
Well, I went to a chiropractic school in Chicago, and I did not learn any of this stuff until 8 years after I had already been practicing, and then realized what true chiropractic was. So unfortunately, there's even within the chiropractic population, we need to do a little more educating. And
So with that said, Doc, I know we know that the nervous system is the master system. So can you kind of walk us through like how spinal alignment impacts systemic health?
Brilliant. Okay. Because this is, after you do the whole report of findings, all the x-rays, exams, everything, you get the person with the crossed arms. How is fixing the spine going to help my bowel disorder or my liver or my blood sugar or this or that? I say, I don't care about the spine. But the nervous system, you have this automatic nervous system, and it's in two parts. One part is the sympathetic, and that's located in the rib cage and lumbar area. And the other, and that's the fight or flight that keeps you alive under stress, that gets you successful in sports. And the other part is regeneration. That's the resting, digesting, and repairing. Now, I'm not going to ask you how you're feeling because only 10% of the nerves coming off that spine have pain fibers. So if you go to the standard doctor, in the standard chiropractor, the LOPQRST, tell me where you hurt, when you hurt, onset, that is so foolish because you're getting 10%, but the patient thinks that everything they tell you is going to help you find the solution. And I go in and I say, look, your body has responded correctly based on the stimulus. Your cholesterol is elevated, your blood pressure is elevated, your blood sugar is elevated because you're in that stress state. And so we have to find, and there's only three things we got to fix on you: the physical, chemical, and emotional stressors. All of those activate that protection system. We have to activate that regeneration system. And then your body can regenerate healthy. And then you reverse the dis-ease process. And then you got to break them in to say, oh, really, what does fibromyalgia look like outside of the body? How much does high blood pressure weigh? What color is cancer away from the body? Oh, those are stupid questions? No. It's getting that pattern interrupt so people can understand that this
Very nice.
disease is really the body adapting correctly. That's then you see the light bulb go on over it. It's like, oh my God, they're starting to get it.
This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.